X-Pac 12360, featuring weekly news, insider commentary, and interviews with superstars, past and present from the world of pro wrestling.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Welcome to X-Pac 12360, everyone. Good to be back this week, and we got a great show for you because a little bit later on, we're going to be joined by Booker T, Hall of Famer Booker T, five-time world champion Booker T, future mayor of Houston Booker T.
Yes.
Anyways, but before we get on to that, want to talk about one of the all-time greats that passed away, Masa Saito, a.k.a. Mr. Saito. Mm-hmm. And Masa was okay, first of all, I had the honor of being in the ring with Masa in 91, I think it was. Jerry Lynn and I wrestled Masa Saito and Brad Rangans. Brad Rangans. Sorry about that. In Minnesota. And it was an amazing experience. And Masa brought me to New Japan for the Super Junior tournament after that. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Must have made an impression.
I also, and I got Jerry tagged me in, and I got in with Masa and immediately went in and started in on him and fired up on him, and I'm like kicking the shit out of him, and I go, reverse clothesline. Man, I wish I wouldn't have said that. Holy shit. He took my head off. But I was calling shit to Masa Saito in the ring at 19 years old.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. Masa was, he was a super kind guy. He was I believe he was a silver medalist in Olympics for Japan. And you know, obviously, I think a lot of people know the story about him and Ken Patera in Waukesha, Wisconsin, with the throwing the boulder through the window and, you know, getting in a fight with the cops and then having to do some jail time. And, you know, that was a little bit of a bump in the road for Masa and Ken too. Mm-hmm. You know, like, mind you, I mean, Ken kind of brought it on. Anyways, I'm not going to get all up into that.
Not getting the weeds.
Yeah,
Positive.
Yes. So Masa got out of jail, and he picked up right where he left off, I think, and he actually ended up beating Larry Zbyszko for the AWA World Title in the Tokyo Dome. I believe it was in 91, and it was a huge moment. Like, you know, obviously the AWA title didn't mean as much at that point, but it was just such a feel-good moment for the Japanese fans that, like, you know, had known Masa Saito for all these years, and it's quite the character, and he had a very, very memorable feud with Inoki. Yeah, and they had a match on this island. I'm not even going to try to pronounce what they called the island, but it was starts with a G, and it was something island death match, and it lasted 2 hours. Yeah, and into the night. Like, it started in the daytime, and then, you know, into the night, and there's torches lit and everything, and, you know, it was something else. And Masa, he was a different kind of cat. Like, one of those guys that come, like, back when, you didn't have to put a character or a gimmick on somebody. They came out of the box with, like, they're a walking gimmick, you know? I mean, I'm trying to think of who to compare him to, but, you know, the characters, I don't know, Lou Albano comes to mind.
I mean, him and Fuji together.
Of course. Here, I'm thinking, like, there's some crazy, like the Canadian freight train Joe LeDuc. Oh, people are just going, who? I'm sure there's some people listening right now.
Well, that's why there's YouTube and Google.
Yeah.
Yes.
Find out real quick.
Yeah, so go and check out some, go down to Masa Saito rabbit hole if you have a chance, because there's some great stuff there. There's if you Google or if you go on YouTube and you type in Masa Saito, like, several matches will come up, and, like, there's a singles match with him and original Tiger masks, Satoru Sayama, from the States, commentary by Vince McMahon.
Wow.
Yeah. There's like some other great stuff. There's a match with Saito and Hulk from St. Paul Civic Center. Yeah, with David Schultz, Dr. D. David Schultz on the floor on Saito's side, and the heat is just amazing. When you go back and listen to the crowd during their matches, it's amazing. But yeah, you're gonna be missed, Masa. Personally, speaking for myself, I love you, and I'm very grateful to everything you've done to help me in my career. And rest in peace, sir.
Beautiful tribute.
So, what else we got, real quick?
Well, New Japan and Ring of Honor are going to be in Madison Square Garden April 6th, which to a lot of people, this is a big surprise because we did talk about this prior. Was that, for a second there, we thought that Vince wasn't going to, or we weren't going to see any sort of other promotion running at Madison Square Garden. And then lo and behold, here we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Running against NXT on Saturday, April 6th.
Yeah, I read it was like one sentence from WWE saying, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it right in front of me, but it was something along the lines of, nothing's preventing Madison Square Garden from working with ROH or something like. It was.
You can tell they wrote it while saying this with their fists. Like, go ahead. Go right ahead.
I spoke with Josh Barnett on the eve that this news came out, and he said to me that this is an example of how New Japan is, coming into the United States, and, it's showing that they're making a big move, and they're pushing boundaries, and that this is actually, helping, wrestling and all of that. So it was pretty interesting. I talked to SoCal Uncensored, and they were also obviously very excited about this.
So here's the thing. Okay, and what comes along with the things that Josh was saying, New Japan coming in and making a bigger presence. Okay, when you make a presence like that, you're really poking the bear now. Like, you're poking the bear with a stick, and so now it's not gonna. They're gonna make it more difficult for New Japan, ROH, and that moving forward. And I think there's still gonna be the friendly competition vibe going around and all that, but it's all right. You coming in our backyard, you basically squatting and. Well, I mean, that's probably not the right word to use, but that's the word I'm using.
Sure.
And
well, it's like roughly the same time when New Japan got Jim Ross. Next thing you know, AJ Styles is in WWE. So it's like, it's pretty crazy, like the time.
I'm curious to see what NXT is going to put up against that show.
It's WrestleMania weekend. It's going to have to be great. Now, what are your thoughts? MSG, do you think they could sell it out between Ring of Honor and New Japan?
Oh, it's going to be sold out for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you can guarantee. I could guarantee that it's going to be sold out. And I mean, I think they could do it on any weekend, actually, with enough promotion and enough hype, but especially during WrestleMania weekend. So yeah, it's going to be sold out. You can take that to the bank and cash it.
I found the quote if you want to hear it.
Yeah, please.
MSG is, of course, free to work with Ring of Honor however they want. That is the official statement about the MSG show from WWE.
And I can tell you exactly who that came from because that's exactly how Vince McMahon would have put it. So those words came right from Vince. I'm almost 1,000% sure of that. So what else is there? Anything?
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited about the New Japan show for reals, though, just because I feel like fans are going to be able to make a decision. And, I think it's better to have more options, so I think that's super cool.
Sure. Are we still talking about New Japan and MSG?
I think we pretty much covered that one. And other than that, we're going to cover a lot with our special guest, I think. So
yeah, so, hey, but in the meantime, when it comes to underwear and socks, Mack Weldon wants you to have consistent fit and quality. Mack Weldon engineers their own fabric and obsess over every stitch so you can count on the fit being the same every time. Bottom line, Mack Weldon is better than what you're wearing right now. I can guarantee you that. They have the most comfortable underwear, socks, shirts undershirts, hoodies, and sweatpants that you'll ever wear. They're so confident that if you don't like your first pair, you can keep it, and Mack Weldon will still refund you, no questions asked. I ordered their stuff, you guys, and I was hoping, like I was mentioning to you, I was hoping it was going to be here by the time, the next show came on, and it came in an amazing box. It was a very high-end feel to it.
I've heard,
yes. Yeah. And like I said, their sweatpants, like, that's my favorite Mack Weldon product is their sweatpants. And their underwear are great. I'm wearing their underwear right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm wearing their socks, but the sweatpants, they're to die for. I sleep in those things sometimes.
All right.
So, anyways,
we have a special deal.
Yeah, Mack Weldon has a special offer for all of our listeners and viewers. For 20% off your first order, visit www.mackweldon.com and enter the promo code X-Pac, X-P-A-C. Anyone doesn't know how to spell X-Pac.
That's right.
Yeah, so for 20% off your first order, everyone, visit let me try that again. For 20% off your first order, visit www.mackweldon.com and enter the promo code XPAC at checkout.
Yeah.
That's www.mackweldon.com and enter the promo code XPAC at checkout. And if you do that and you order something from Mack Weldon, and you give us if you show us the proof of purchase, actually send it to Jimbo, and we're going to send you a personally autographed picture from me. And Jimbo, did you get those out?
We sent them out to Leo. We sent them out to Sonny.
Yeah.
We sent out 4 already.
Yeah.
So just keep buying them, y'all.
Yeah,
keep
and so,
hey,
and all the listeners that buy, like if you order some underwear, like model the underwear, take a picture of it, and send it. We'll put it on the air for you.
Make it tasteful.
Yeah.
Slap hashtag XPAC12360, y'all.
Tasteful.
Yeah,
So, so www.mackweldon.com and enter the promo code XPAC. Jesus Christ, I almost would have had to do that over again. Anyways, we'll be right back, and we're going to have Booker T in a little bit. Welcome back to X-Pac 12360, everyone. Joining us right now over the phone. He's a WWE Hall of Famer. He's a former 5-time world champion, and he's going to be the future mayor of Houston, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Booker T. Yeah. Book, thank you for coming on, man.
What's going on?
I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, man. You know me, man. We go way back, man.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. We both started in Dallas at different times together.
yeah, exactly. Our career was pretty much parallel, man. You know what I mean? Started in Dallas, Texas, right there at 10,000 Industrial Boulevard. You know what I mean? And making our way all the way to the top, man. So it's been a hell of a ride.
Hey, Book, who was running things in Global and GWF by the time you and your brother got there? Who was booking that?
Man, it was an array of people, man. Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert was the one who introduced us to Global, and then Skander Akbar, as well as Mike Davis. He was the guy who was running things right there. But a guy by the name of, I think, man, I can't remember the owner's name, man. But it was a hell of a ride, man. Being there in that sportatorium, you know, so many names, you know what I mean? If that wall could talk, you know, would tell so many stories, you know what I mean? So many stars were made, as well as guys who didn't make it to the mainstream level, like a Gary Young, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Gary Young.
Hell of a worker, man, you know what I mean? So many guys.
Hey, Book, it's funny you bring up Gary Young because I swear to God, in Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Gary Young was up for Rookie of the Year for like 10 years in a row. And GWF, when we did the light heavyweight tournament, they didn't have enough light heavyweights, so they had John Tatum, Gary Young. I mean, none of them guys were light heavyweights. But anyways.
Yeah, I'm serious, man. I'm serious. Hey, man, but how great those guys were, man. I mean, I learned so much
Yeah.
from those guys, man. John Mantell, Black Bart, so many guys, man. Manny Fernandez, so many guys back there literally gave me the blueprint to when I finally got to WCW. I remember, God rest his soul, Big Van Vader. I was in my first pay-per-view. I was in the main event with him and Sid Vicious, and I remember Vader asking me in the Sportatorium one day, he said, man, you think you're really ready for this? I go, hell yeah, I'm ready for this, man. I've been trained for this. I've been prepared for this, you know what I mean? Because I had so many great teachers. I thought when I got there, those guys were good workers, but I don't think they were any better than those guys that we work with down there in Dallas, Texas. I really don't.
I agree with that. Hey, how'd you end up getting from Houston to Dallas? That was pretty quick, right? I mean, I know you did some single stuff in the Houston area and all that, but when you and your brother ended up in Dallas, how'd that happen?
By accident, man.
Yeah.
We did a show in Houston with a couple of boys that stayed up and worked in Oklahoma, and my brother and I they called and asked us to be on a show in Oklahoma, and my brother and I, we made a trip to Oklahoma, and we met Skandar Akbar that night to show, and Skandar said, hey man, maybe one day you guys could come work for myself down in Dallas, Texas. I promote down there, he was like, cool, and about 6 months later, my brother got a tryout, and I rode along with my brother, and Eddie Gilbert said, well, who's that guy, and my brother said, well, that's my brother, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is he a worker? And he said, yeah. He said, well, I'm looking for a tag team, man, and we haven't had a black tag team here in Dallas in a long time, and I really think we can make you guys big stars. We was like, man, that sounds awesome, you know what I mean? And we got prepared for that big debut day. It's crazy. I got to tell the story. We Eddie said, man, I'm going to make you guys, huge. I want you guys to wear suits. You know what I mean?
Right.
Your name's Booker. Your name's, Booker T. Booker T, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
My brother's name is Lash. He said, let's change that. We're going to call you Stevie Ray. Like Stevie Ray Vaughan. It sounds cool. Booker T and Stevie Ray. And we was like, man, that sounds cool. So we show up in Dallas on our, to make our debut date. And we tell everybody, hey, man, we're looking for Eddie. You know what I mean? We was really excited. And they tell us, Eddie got fired.
Right.
We're like, whoa, wait a minute. Eddie got fired. Eddie got this whole angle laid out for us. We're like, well, there's nothing we can do about that. The best we can do is give you guys a tryout.
Yeah.
So it went from us being big stars to get the tryout, but just getting our foot in the door. I think that's all we needed, man. Just give us a chance, and we'll pretty much do the rest on our own. And pretty much the rest is history.
Yeah, Book. I remember because I was gone. I was gone from Dallas by the time you and your brother got there, but I was still watching, and whether Eddie Gilbert was still there or not, man, y'all were featured like big stars, man, and I bought it. And I was in the industry, and I bought it. So it worked.
I tell you, we came in and literally all we wanted was an opportunity. My brother and I, we felt like, we were talented enough. We had size. We were actually real brothers and thought that they could do something with that. And my thing was this, being on global television back there was like being on a major television show, man, because we were on ESPN Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And I tried my best to get on at least 3 TV tapings a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't care. So I tell you, we just wanted a chance to go out there and show what our talent. My thing was I learned from one of the best in the business, Scott Casey. He taught me in the beginning what the business was about, and that was, about the fans, going out there and making your opponent. And I think, being on that television, we say, man, somebody's going to see us one day and we're going to get a phone call. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Because, what were you there, like 6 months?
No, actually, we was in Global Wrestling Federation for about 12 months.
Oh, okay.
By 12 to 15 months, we were there on a weekly basis. But it was a hell of a ride. It was.
Yeah.
I don't think we couldn't have paid for the knowledge that we got. Making that trip from Houston, Texas, every single weekend we made that trip, and we didn't miss a date. I I blew my knee out, and I still did not miss a date.
Oof.
You know, and because we wanted it, we wanted it so bad.
And a year is just about right. Like, to me, I can imagine you guys just starting to get antsy and figuring, like, okay, it's time to move forward a little bit more now.
You know, honestly, man, for me, it was an escape. I could have stayed in global, as long as I really needed to.
Yeah.
I never thought about, the next level or anything like that. I always wanted to be the best where I was, and I tell young students that I go do seminars, and the question I always ask these young guys, I say, what's your aspiration? They always tell me, I want to be in the WWE. I want to be the WWE champion. I almost 10 times out of 10 times, none of them ever tell me, I want to be the best on the show here tonight where I am.
Right.
And I think that's the one thing that's missing with a lot of these young guys. They don't understand what the business is really, truly about. That's going out there and, honing your craft, learning it, from the bottom up, so when you get there, you will be ready, because you can get there, and if you're not ready, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
10 times out of 10 times, if you're not prepared for the test, you're going to fail that test, so, get that knowledge, know what it's about. Before you try to make it, forget about getting a T-shirt. Let's think about learning how to work and perform, so that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, the T-shirt. You get the T-shirt, and you get to take a picture and put it on Facebook so you can prove to everyone you're a wrestler. And then, hey, it's over. Work is over with. You're a wrestler now.
Pretty much. That's the way a lot of them look at it. They got their 50 followers.
Right.
Nothing against social media or anything like that, but this business is. It wasn't a game for me, Pop.
Yeah.
It was about going out there and living this dream, having that adventure, going out there and still being relevant still today within the storm of, these young guys coming up, being able to hand that knowledge down to these guys as well. Me being that, that carpenter, that teacher, for the next generation. I love my position in life right now. I couldn't have a greater life. I was up this morning, me and my son, 7 years old. We took, 50 to 75 basketball shots, just from the free throw line, So I'm loving life in my position, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I can tell, Book, and like all of these things that you're enjoying right now, man. You deserve every bit of it, man, because you worked your ass off and made the right decisions. Like after you quit making the wrong ones, right?
Yeah, you're right, man. I've been blessed, fortunate in life. I made some bad decisions in my early life, and I tell you, man, I still feel like I got a broom, sweeping it up and cleaning it up. It never ends. You know what I mean? I feel like I deserve it, but I still feel like it's so much work still yet to be done. You know what I mean? I still got so much energy and so much life in me. And the thing is, a lot of it is still for the business. With my wrestling school, with my wrestling show, my seminars. This business has given me, the life that I live today, and definitely I'm never going to turn my back on it. But being able to move into different realms, just like yourself, having my own radio show, running for mayor here in Houston as well. Aspiration, there is no glass ceiling, and I learned that when I was a very, very young man, to go for it and don't let no one tell you can't.
It must feel like, Booker, I can only imagine how it feels like coming from where you had to dig yourself out of, and now because Dallas Page said this one time, and I steal this line and I use it a lot. It's not who you know, it's who's willing to admit they know you, and everyone wants to admit that they know Booker T now.
That's right.
And it must feel really good, man, because I can just imagine, Book.
I tell you, I got young people, man. That's what that's why I throw all my energy, man. Through just like with my school, everybody's young. I'm the oldest oldest guy on my crew. You know, it's been a slogan for years. You know,
Yeah.
you've heard it. Your parents have said it. You know, your grandparents have said it. Respect your elders. You know, but we don't have anyone saying respect your young people. Young people are really the future.
Yeah.
My kids are, like I said, they're 7 years old and they're smart as a whip, and they're going to be the one that's, you know, making all the rules. You know,
Yeah.
20 years. You know, so my thing is, you know, fall back on the young guys and the young women and let them have that reins and then, you know, jump on board with them. You know, I speak for young people and I think I relate with them, you know, more than anything. You know, I'm 53 years old, but I still feel like I'm a young guy for some reason. I really honestly don't even know why. But
Wow.
I wake up every morning feeling like I'm, you know, a young kid. But I try to think wisely and still be able to, you know that, hey, man, let's pass it on. Let's not try to hold on to it. And you know, Pac, we've been in this business a long time, and how many times, you know, we wondered when that old guy was going to step aside and let the young guy come up. How many times? How many? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I understand it, being in that position.
Hey, there's a little like kind of a joking saying that my friends and I use. It's like it's the old guy's job to hold the young guys down. It's the young guy's job to put us out of our misery.
That's true, man. You hit it right on the head. But for myself, man, I don't have no ego or
Right.
anything like that, man. You know, this business for me, you know, it hadn't been about wins and losses or anything like that. You know, it's been about, you know, having fun, doing something that I love to do. I'm making money doing something I love to do. You only live once that we know of, you know, and to be bitter and, you know, upset and frowning and everything. I want to be smiling and
Yeah.
laughing every day to the day that I die, you know, because, you know, I don't know what's on the other side, and I want to enjoy this side while I'm here.
And the thing is every time I see you, Booker, you always have a big ass smile on your face. You're always you always have this energy coming off of you that other people can, you know, get a little bit of, and it's that youthful energy you were talking about, man. And that means it's like people always want to be around you when you're like that.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. You know, I go do, you know, Comic Cons and stuff like that, and I stand up the whole time, man. I'm laughing and joking, I'm telling stories. You know, my day go by so fast, you know, because I love what I'm doing. I stopped working when I was 25 years old. You know, I lost my mother when I was, you know, 13. Lost my father when I was, you know, 10 months old. You know, and to have the life that I have, you know, to have to be able to enjoy it, the life the way I live it. God, man, you know, I never saw this coming, you know, as a kid, but I always knew it was going to happen. I just didn't, I didn't know how, as far as, you know, how I was going to make it, but I always knew I was going to make it somehow in this life. You know, I always knew God was on my side, and it was, you know, it was a bigger plan for me. Even still now, you know, it's like I say, the plan is, you know, I don't aspire to die as just being a wrestler. You know, I that's just not the moniker that I want on my headstone. You know, here lies, you know, Booker T, you know, WWE Hall of Fame wrestler. That's not the way I want to go out.
Hey, Book, I read something last night, man, and it blew me away. And it's kind of going off subject just a little bit, but it's huge, man. And I got to take my hat off to you for doing this. I read this thing called it's Miles Apart, and it's something you did with your son Brandon.
Yeah.
And man, like I would since I mean I imagine you did that for people to read, right? Like I mean, you know, I mean.
Yeah. I needed people to hear that story.
And
me being, you know, who I am, and you know, I go through stuff just like everyone else do. You know, with family, you know, health, all kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I'm no different. You know, and I just need people to, especially young wrestlers, that's in the business, to, you know, that find themselves in that position and think that they know and they think that they're doing the right thing, and they're really not. You know, so I thought it was very, very important for people to hear his side from him. You know what I mean? I didn't know what he was going to say or anything like that. I just thought I needed to experience it through his eyes and the way he felt.
Wow, man, and I got goosebumps right now, man, just thinking about it, because I mean it's so powerful, and it's so gutsy, man, to let people in like that, Booker. And I highly suggest people read. I don't want to get all off into, all off into that. So,
Crezio.com. They can check it out right there, Crezio.com.
Yeah.
And, experience it, man. I mean, my life is an open book, and I need people to understand, where I come from in order for them to be able to trust me. I got to be able to, let people in and be transparent.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I've been my whole life. I used to lie a whole lot when I was a kid, and I lied about everything, man. I didn't care, man. I just lied.
What do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Because we don't I used to lie because I didn't have anything to talk about yet. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, but I lied to my parents about stuff. You know what I mean? I would steal. Yeah. I lied. I was just a bad kid, and I really don't know why I was a bad kid. I knew I was trouble. In certain ways, not having my dad there, seeing other kids that did have their dad in their lives. My mother was working from 11 to 7, from as long as I can remember, I'm trying to raise us and, keep a roof over our head. I totally understand that. I always wanted to be, mentored. I always wanted to be, told, hey, don't do that. You know what I mean? Or I wanted that pat on the back as well.
Yes.
I wanted to be told, hey, man, hey, you could do it. Hey, you could be whatever you want to be in life. I didn't have that. So I rebelled in different other ways. Maybe that's what it was. But I realized, as I got older, that did not work. I can't remember the last time I told a lie. I cannot lie. I can't cheat on my wife because I'll tell on myself.
Yeah.
That's the type of person I am, and I think it's all stemmed from, the way I came up. I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones who have made the right choice, because I easily could have been somewhere else. I easily could not be talking to you right now and having this conversation, so I'm just blessed. God put me here for a reason.
And Book, you talk about obviously giving back to the new generation, which you do. I've been down to Reality of Wrestling. Explain to people what that is like, because to me, you treat everyone there like family. Like if Paul Bosch was still around, I think he'd be beaming with pride and would be right there next, aside of you, running things with you.
Hey, it is like a family. I mean, we are a team. We literally bonded at the hip. I started this thing back in 2005. The Pro Wrestling Alliance, a few years ago, I guess about 7 years ago, that didn't feel right to me, the Pro Wrestling Alliance, because everybody got an initial, PW such and WWS. So I changed everything. I told my wife, I was like, baby, we got to sell everything with PWA on it. I never want to hear that word ever again. And I was just thinking, what can I call it? Reality shows are so popular, and so I said, man, Reality of Wrestling, man. I was like, boom, that could be a Reality of Wrestling. And I was thinking, people are not going to know if it's a wrestling show or a reality show when they watch it. And then I told all of my guys, I said, guys, we got to be different than everyone else. I said, we could never call ourselves ROW. It could only be the Raw or Reality of Wrestling. The Raw or Reality of Wrestling. We're branding that, and that's what we're going to go on. And my guys, they skeptical in the beginning, but I've seen them always have made the right choices, and Reality of Wrestling has taken off, but I've gotten kids, man. My right-hand man, his name's Kevin Bernhardt. He's 30 years old now, and I met him when he was literally 16 years old in high school. I was doing a speaking engagement, and he became my first student. He was so skinny, he couldn't be a wrestler, but I wanted him to stick around, I sent him to school to, edit, at the Houston Art Institute, and he became my editor, my producer, my writer, like my announcer, my commentator. He came to me when he's 18. He's 24. When two of my top wrestlers, one of them came to me when he was 16. One came to me when he was 17. 24 and 25 years old now, and they're getting ready to make their move. Grown men now, and they're top professional wrestlers. So my thing is, I try to get them young so I can train them, mold them. I mean, they're like soldiers, man. When I die, I'm probably going to have about 50 guys carrying my casket, because it's about loyalty and Reality of Wrestling. It's about being on time. It's about showing up. It's about passing the knowledge on to the next guys coming up, because Reality of Wrestling is it's a self-contained unit. If Booker T was to leave here today, God, forbid, reality of wrestling will continue and go on forever. And that's what I've tried to create, a utopia for young guys trying to get in professional wrestling, young girls trying to get in professional wrestling the right way, as well as have a half of a chance at learning this thing right.
Right on.
So Booker, earlier, you've mentioned a lot about making decisions and, not always knowing your right path as we all go through in life. One of the decisions that you made after WCW closed was to necessarily, not take the buyout and go to WWE and eventually, take a pay cut. So many guys didn't do that. They decided to, finish out their contracts and not continue wrestling. What was the reasoning for you to go to WWE and, not just stay at home and collect paychecks?
Time off is, really in this business one's worst enemy.
Ric Flair loves to say that.
Say again? Say what?
Ric Flair loves to say that.
Hey, that's where I got it from. That's where I got it from. Ric Flair always used to say, man, time off is a wrestler's worst enemy. That's what he used to always say. Yep. And for me, I had momentum. The money issue, I gave up a lot of money. I've never done any interviews about that or anything like that. But I gave up a lot of money to keep going. I felt like the money would come right back. I really honestly truly believe this. I make the money. The money don't make me. And that's the way I feel in life. Still right now today, no matter what happens, as long as I got my legs, I got my health, I'm going to make money. That's just who I've been all my life. So to keep going as well as to test myself, with the so-called best wrestlers in the world. I want to see exactly how good I really was. I want to push myself to see if I was, top-notch, or were these guys actually better than me. And, that's one thing I always believed in was my talent. I always knew that, I could perform with the best. My brother, he always used to tell me, I said that at my Hall of Fame speech, my brother, before I really looked the word up, my brother used to tell me I was prolific.
Wow.
He said, man, you better than he used to say, man, you better than everybody in the locker room. And I believed it because he said it, because my brother was my hero. He was the guy that I wanted to be like. And if he said it, it had to be true. So to go up there to WWE was something that it wasn't something I was, really wanting to do at that time, but the company was closed. It was time to move on to what was next. And I learned at a very, very young age, losing my mother and father, nothing lasts forever.
And Booker, I think you found out immediately that's exactly where you belonged. Because I remember your first match in was with Bagwell, right? In Vancouver?
Yeah.
Was it Vancouver?
Yeah. I think it was.
Yeah, and it was like...
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Vancouver. I can't remember the town right offhand, but it wasn't Vancouver.
It was...
I will remember.
It was... It definitely wasn't WCW country. I'll tell you that much.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't WCW country. We got killed, man. But my thing was...
I thought you were great.
I knew that was going to happen.
I knew that
was going to happen.
Booker, you did great.
You know what? I thought I did okay,
Yeah.
but I felt like I could have done so much more. My thing has always been, man, I swear, I've always been, Chris Jericho, he wrote it in his book. My thing was back in WCW, I didn't care who I was working with. It could be some random guy who wasn't getting a push on the card. He was a guy that they were just going to be bringing in and pretty much shipping him out after that match. And I would always tell the guy, hey, man, I'm finna go out here and get you a contract tonight.
Nice.
And I would go out there and I would perform with that guy to the point to where I would literally say 80%, 75% of the time, WCW would hire the guy after I worked him. It was my job to go out there and make those guys look good. It was my responsibility. I felt the onus was on me each and every time. And to go out there with Bagwell that night, I thought I could actually pull it off. I thought I could actually sway the crowd. Yeah. And that night I didn't. And it was one of the few nights in my career. But after going back and looking at it, it wasn't that bad of a match. Today, standard, I think that match would probably pass the smell test.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. And it wasn't like it was your performance in it. It was like, I don't want to judge the whole match because you have to. It takes two, right? And
yeah.
I don't want to go negative on anyone.
No. You know what? I tell you, man. That night it said a lot to me. But my thing, I can honestly say this: when I came to WWE. I left every accolade that I had ever accomplished in WCW behind.
Yeah.
I did not come into WWF thinking, hey man, these guys need to, give me my props because I'm former world champion. You know what I mean? I came in world champion, United States champion, so I need to get my props. No, I left all of that behind. I tell my students, I say, if you can't make it in the locker room, you have no chance at making it in the ring. I tell my students, hey, you could be great at what you do and people don't like you, you're not going to last very long. So my first, job was to, let those guys know, hey, man, hey, I'm here to work. I'm here to be a part of this thing because that's what wrestling really is. When you got an ego in professional wrestling, if you're not certain guys, you're not going to be around very long. So for me, it was just, wanting to be a part of the team, man, and still, continue to do what I love.
Well, to go from working in WCW and then WCW closes and now WWE is the only option, what do you think of the boom in wrestling now with New Japan and Ring of Honor going to run Madison Square Garden and all these other companies that wrestlers have opportunities to work for?
Hey, man, I'm loving it. It's bringing wrestling back to the way it used to be, where guys had, different places to go work. It's not about one company, really, and I don't want people to think that it should be like that. It's about guys just doing this that need work, and need places to do it. If there are other companies that, that's got other, television contracts with other stations, hey, why not football do it? I mean, baseball do it, track, if every other entity does it, you know what I mean? So it's only going to be more work for the wrestler as well as it's only going to make the wrestling business so much bigger. The independent world right now is totally alive. You go and see how many shows around the world are, being had on the weekends, and you be, you go, wow, so it's about, that's really what it's about. It's about, the fan getting entertainment and these guys that's capable of going out there and, putting on good work, having work.
Hey, go ahead, Jimbo. One more.
What do you think of David Arquette's return to wrestling?
I love it, man. I'm a big fan of David Arquette, man. He was at my night in Hollywood. He showed up talking about, the old WCW. People don't know about the WCW story, and if they don't, I'll tell you, when David Arquette won the world title, he was back in the locker room, and he was with me, he was sitting across from me, and he was looking at the title, and he was pretty happy for a minute, and he goes, man, man, it's pretty cool, isn't it? You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, man, that's pretty cool, and he looks at me and he goes, but how many times have you won the world championship? And I go, man, I never won it. I never won it before. And he goes, he literally took a big breath, man. His eyes got big. He couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? And then the following night, he went out on television. He goes, I don't deserve this championship. People like Booker T should have this championship. Wow. So he's probably one of the biggest reasons I became world champion. Wow. Is people don't even really understand or realize that. That he was just in a position, and if anyone else would have been in the position that David Arquette was in, they would have taken it as well.
Well, while we're speaking of you being in the ring, I recently watched a clip from Heated Conversations. It was very subtly titled, I Never Said I Retired. You keep yourself in incredible shape. You talked about if you might actually consider coming back at some point if it's on your own terms. Have you thought any further about that?
I didn't say I was coming back or anything like that on my own terms. Okay, let's get that straight. My thing is this: like I said, if they were to ask me to have a match or something, this is what we do. I wouldn't turn it down. Yeah, that's what we do. I'll show up. I'm gonna go out and perform and try to perform at the highest level I possibly can. But I'm more focused on reality of wrestling. I'm more focused on my young guys, and my young talent need to know that their sensei, their teacher, can actually still do it. Yeah. They got to be able to believe in me. If their teacher is just sitting on the sidelines barking orders, it's hard to believe. If you don't walk in those shoes, it's hard to tell someone else how to walk in them. So I got to be on point for my team more than anything. So it's a reality of wrestling thing. It's not about going out there on the independent circuit and having matches on a weekly basis or anything like that. But to build my company, I've taken advice from a lot of great mentors. I've worked for one of the the boss that I work for, man, I mean, he's tireless. He doesn't take any time off. And every time he had to go out there and put the boots on to draw a crowd in, that's what he went out and did.
Yeah.
So I just, lead by example. But it's all about reality wrestling.
Hey, Book, can you still do the Spinaroonie?
Man, I just did it a month ago, man.
That's
NXT
what's
was
up.
in town, and I went down just to show some love for Velveteen Dream,
Nice.
One of my students that was on Tough Enough. And, of course, they asked me to get in the ring, and I got in the ring. And next thing you know, the crowd's going, Spinaroonie. I hadn't did it in 2 years. I said, 2 years ago, I said, the Spinaroonie is officially retired.
Yeah.
But in my city, man, I said, damn it, this is my city. This is H. Dropped down one knee, boom, dropped it, and I was like, wow, that was pretty easy, But yeah, I can still do it, man. But I do try to preserve the hips these days, because I don't want to be like these old guys, man, getting hip replacements, knee replacements. I don't have no metal in me, man. I'm metal free, man. I want to stay that way for a long time.
Yeah, between the Spinaroonie and the one stand spin kick you do, that's a lot of work on the hips, man.
Brother. I mean, I put in my time, but I'll throw it out there if need be. The price is right. You know how we are.
Oh, yeah.
How important was naming it the Spinaroonie? Because you were doing it throughout WCW, but it never had a name, so it never really caught on. But as soon as you started doing it in WWE, and it got the name of Spinaroonie.
No, actually, it caught on in WCW. Mark Madden was the person who coined the phrase Spinaroonie. He did it in one of my matches one day, and, it's been called a Spinaroonie ever since. He went Spinaroonie crazy. Spinaroonie. From that day on, it's been called a Spinaroonie. So Mark Madden, he may have a trademark on that.
Nice.
Name. But he's the one who pulled it out, man.
Hey, Book, we were talking about your Johnny brought up your radio show, and I listened to it whenever I get a chance. I listen to little clips here and there because we get them on YouTube and different things. But I don't know, what was it? Maybe a year or so ago, you had Kia Stevens on, and you brought up. I made a comment on here about when Alonzo Ball and all them were on there, and they dropped the N bomb on live TV, and you talked about that, and I just want to say I agree 100%, man. The way that I said that, I can see how you came to that conclusion, man.
Hey, man, that word, man, it's a very what word? Destructive.
Yes.
Let's just say that, destructive word. For these days, for so many, because it's used as a term of endearment. Not just black people use it; every other race uses it. In schools, it's a word that just thrown around, and I say, I talk about young people all the time. Young people need to understand, that word first and foremost, and how destructive it truly, really is. But the thing is to hear it on the radio every day. It's not like something that that's put in the closet or anything. People make money off of it. It's a word that's being, money is being made off of it. So it's hard to judge or anything like that when people outside of one's race use it, but when I do hear it, just like with the Alonzo Ball situation, that young man, that's a college educated young man.
Yeah.
That's a young man that know right from wrong. That's a young man that's got eyes on him, and young people look up to him and want to be like him. So I don't, try to, put everyone in that position to try to be a role model or anything like that. But, you only live once, and the thing is too, he's a young kid. He's going to mature as he get older. I didn't think this way when I was, 18 years old, so it's hard for me to judge, when I hear that word.
Yeah, but
how to explain it.
The thing about it is I kind of made light of it on the show. Like I was And what I meant was like it wasn't as big a deal coming out of his mouth as if it would have been a white guy on there and that shit dropped out of their mouth, on live TV.
And that's true. That is true. That is true. But I remember when I said it, and how I felt inside. I don't know if that young kid felt that same way, but I know how I felt because I knew I had young people looking up to me and wanted to be like me, and they feel like if Booker T said, it's okay to say.
I remember when that happened.
Then they got to go for a job interview, and they're talking to the the person that's giving them the interview, and they use that word, and then they don't get the job. So. Changing your levels. That's what I tell young people. Know how to change your levels because you never know who you're around and who you're talking to.
I remember when you did that, and immediately, like I see you turned right. Like I'd never seen a black guy blush like that before. Like you were embarrassed by that. I think it seemed like.
Oh no, man! I literally. That was the worst day of my life.
Aww.
That was as far as the wrestling business goes.
Really?
That was the biggest mistake I ever could have made. That's the one mistake that I wish I could take back.
Wow.
I don't remember any other mistakes, because like I say, I don't want my people to think that I think that way about myself.
Absolutely.
I don't talk like that around
Yeah.
to my kids. My kids have never heard me say that word.
Yeah.
I don't talk up to my buddies like that. I don't know. But I'm from the neighborhood. I hear it on a daily basis. At that point in time, back then, it was a word that I used, probably on a regular basis, but no one had ever heard me say that in the locker room, around any of my peers. None of the white guys had ever heard me use that word.
Sure.
And because I say, if they hear me using that word, calling myself that, it should be all right for them to call me that as well, if I call myself that. So I just tell young people when they're in certain situations like that, just know that certain things are going to be looked at a certain way, and know that, hey, your respect, it goes a long way in this business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It goes a long way. My respect is everything, Pac.
Absolutely.
The way people, look at me, and the way I treat myself. Just like, say, for instance, for the boys, my peers like yourself, it was years before you guys ever saw me in a pair of jeans.
That's true.
You always saw me with a suit and tie on. I always respected myself more than anyone else could. And no one has ever saw me out in the club or hanging out, coming through the hotel with another woman or anything, knowing that I got a wife at home.
Yeah.
All right? Because if one of you guys did, you may not have said anything, but your level of respect would have gone down immensely.
Man, it
and
does,
I could not
Booker.
let that.
It does. You're right. It does.
I've never put myself in position for my respect to ever be questioned, ever, because that's literally what makes us or breaks us at the end of the day.
Hey, look, Mark Henry said that the black locker room is 50-50 on Hulkster right now. How are you on all that?
Hey, man, just like I just said about the word.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, when people say stuff, behind the closed doors, I'm sure you've said things behind closed doors.
Yes.
I'm sure everyone in that room has said stuff behind closed doors that they'll never say out in public. I put the onus on, the person that was taping the conversation to first and foremost in that situation. Why is a person taping your conversation? They're obviously looking to get something out of it. So you got to look at it from that perspective as well. You don't know if someone was drinking or not. And it's so many variables go into that one little episode right there, and I just don't think that and the wrestling business coincide with each other.
Gotcha. Well, that's the thing, man. Is I'm a white guy, and obviously, I think everyone knows that.
Yeah, we figured it out.
So I like to defer to my black friends on this subject. You know what I mean? I think my opinion is just a little bit less valid than y'all's.
No, I mean it's a real issue, of course, but it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Like I say, I mean it really should not be an issue.
Yeah.
As far as him being in, I mean, was it a black eye for people to hear him say that being a publicly traded company? Of course. Do we got to shut this thing down, reprimand him, or do something, suspend him, do something about it? Of course we do. But for someone, for him to be banned from professional wrestling for that one incident.
And just
come on, come on.
To have to be wiped completely from history over, I
don't agree. That I don't agree
Yeah.
with. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just, and the reason I don't agree with that, Pac, is because if people still judge me from what I did 20 years ago,
Amen.
I would not be talking to you right now.
Amen, bro.
People still looked at me because of what I did and the mistake that I made. We wouldn't be talking. And I talk about that, having that broom and still cleaning it up and sweeping it up. Yeah, I'm still cleaning it up and sweeping it up because I made a mistake. But should you ridicule me forevermore for a mistake a young kid made who had no direction in life? Come on. No, I don't think so. So my thing is this, man. I mean, let's put it past and let's move forward.
Yeah.
There you go. Last question, Booker, from me. Your album, you and Brad Gilmore recorded with a bunch of stars last year in Hollywood. And how exciting is that to have an album out? Tell us about that.
Man, we just always working, man. My kid, Brad Gilmore, I met him when he was 18 years old. He's my partner on my show now. Yeah, man. He say, let's make an album out of it. Let's do something with this. Yeah, it's cool, man. My thing is, it's all about the work. I wouldn't have never thought about doing it if it weren't for my partner Brad Gilmore. Saying, hey, Book, let's do this. I'm about just literally trying, like I say, staying relevant, but with relevant news, not just going out there talking about some crap or something that don't nobody really want to hear about. I really want to entertain still, outside of the ring, just from a different perspective. And I think, still being able to connect, with young people, I think that's what the album's really all about.
Where do you get it?
It's all on all social media sites, Amazon, everything. Like I said, my boy, he do all of that stuff, man. Go to realityofwrestling.com. I'm sure you'll be able to find out about it.
And you recorded that here in L.A., right? When you guys were here for, was it No Mercy?
Yeah,
I think it was No Mercy.
Yeah,
we were doing a benefit for all the hurricane victims, actually all the flood victims here in Houston, and raised some money. And a lot of guys came through, man, and showed support and showed love and auction our stuff. It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
A lot of WWE guys gave stuff. Roman Reigns, Sasha Banks, Elias. It was cool, man, to be able to help, people who's down, because I got lucky. I got blessed. My house is kind of like on a little island, and I didn't get, as much damage as most people around me did, but a lot of people lost everything. And to still be able to, help out and, a little bit, give a little bit of time. Mother always told me it doesn't cost you anything to be nice to people.
Absolutely, man. Hey, Book, real quick before we go, hey, let's talk about the possibility of Brock and Bobby Lashley fighting.
Hey, man, it is what it is. Brock Lesnar got a whole lot going on his plate right now.
Yeah.
With the UFC things, USADA getting back in the lineup, it's a lot of work involved with that right there. And I'm sure he's going to have to prepare for it. The thing with him and Bobby Lashley, I think it'll be good for Bobby to actually, get in there and mix with Brock Lesnar. It might be it might be a rough night for him, you know what I mean? But it'll be a good rub.
Sure.
As well as people have been wanting to see Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley for many, many years, as far as both of them got, the amateur background experience. Bobby Lashley, I always told Bobby Lashley, even back in the day, I remember he was wrestling Simon Dean one day. Simon Dean had him bumping all over the place. I'm like,
Simon
pull him
Dean?
aside, say again.
Simon Dean had Bobby Lashley bumping all over the place?
Like Shane
bumping
Douglas,
bumping
Simon
like
Dean?
a bumping machine. And I tell him, I say, I pull him aside to pull his coattail a little bit. I say, Bobby, wise you up, man. I say, look at you, man. I say, you got this body. I said, man, you look like Brock Lesnar. I say, man, you look better than Brock Lesnar.
Right.
I'm trying to pump him up.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley at that time, he goes, man, I understand, man. I'm just trying to, just stay in the loop. You know what I mean?
Sounds like Bobby.
All right.
Sounds just like him.
But some years later, he came and worked with me, and came to my school, trained with me. I gave him some knowledge, So now, Bobby is definitely, I think, ready to step into that fire. You know what I mean? As well as, we wonder what Bobby, still got left in the tank after 10 years being away from the company. That's a long time. 10 years, man. That's a long time. So we'll find out. We'll find out real soon.
Yeah. Where do you think something like that'll happen?
When?
Or when and where?
Well, I can't say when, but I know it's got to happen before January. Just because of the UFC commitment.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. So I'm sure that's going to be around January. That's when he'll be. That's the earliest he'll be able to have that fight with DC is January, and I'm sure they're not going to want to procrastinate on that fight. They're going to want to get to it and get to it pretty quick.
You don't think they're going to try to make DC and John Jones, or Brock and John Jones first?
Well, I think with John Jones, he still got his problems.
Yeah.
DC, right now, the fight for him, is Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar. I mean, DC is. Bones Jones. He got so much baggage right now, man. I mean, nothing's working in his favor right now. When he come back, he would have to come back at heavyweight. You know what I mean? What kind of interest is going to be on that fight? Will it be more interest on that fight with with him opposed to Brock Lesnar? I don't think so. I think people want to see Brock Lesnar as the UFC champion one more time. I think people want to see that for some reason.
Yeah.
They really want to see it.
But do you think he can defeat Cormier?
Oh man, I think if Brock Lesnar get on top of Cormier, of course he can beat him. If Cormier get on top of Brock Lesnar, of course he can beat him. Can Cormier knock out Brock Lesnar if he hit him with the right shot? Of course he can. It's a pick 'em. It's a pick 'em fight because you look at the size difference. Even though Cormier is a heavyweight, Brock Lesnar is still much bigger than he is. So it's a lot of variables play right there, man. It's a toss up.
Hey, I could keep on rambling with you, Book, but we already brought you past the time we said we were going to keep you, man.
I'm good, man.
Hey,
I'm just riding right now, man. I still got a few minutes if you have a couple more questions.
You want to? Hey, okay, real quick.
Yeah, I wanted to know if Kane has given you any sort of advice now that you're running for mayor.
Be ready for the politics. And that's what I'm dealing with right now, is the politics. I got a few hurdles I got to cover, and I've been having the damnedest time with City Hall. But that was to be expected, you know what I mean? But I got some good people on my side working for me, and I'm doing everything I possibly can to get ready for November 2019, and I know who within the next less than 6 months.
You know what the great thing is, Book, is there's nothing bad about you that's not already out there in the public that people already know. So there's nothing anyone can use against you.
Well, that's the beauty of it. Every thing that someone could try to use against me, I can use it to my advantage.
Exactly.
Because everyone out there is not perfect. Everyone out there is not a Harvard grad or college grad. You know what I mean? The majority of the people are just like you and I. They're just trying to make it from one day to the next, and they're just wondering, how am I going to do it? And then to get a little bit of help definitely is something that most people want. So that's that. I'm just a people person. I'm not the smartest person, in the room, but I do know how to get a great team around me, man. And that's first and foremost, having a great team. Having a conglomerate to make decisions opposed to one person thinking they know it all, and I think that's the key.
Yeah, but the thing is, Book, is you have a great team around you because people want to be on the Booker T team.
Well, I tell you, man, if you treat people, the way you want to be treated, that's very, very easy. And that's what I do. I don't, I'd never say my school. I say our gym. I never put, me, in front ever because, I know I couldn't, achieve what I've achieved by myself solely. There's no way that could have happened, So me having a, great wife support, me having a bunch of young guys around me, pushing me in the right direction, as well as a lot of those young guys making this decisions, and me just co-signing on it. I think that's very, very important to be successful here in this day and age. I really do.
Hey, Book, what was really cool was being at the Cauliflower Alley and watching you and your brother up there accepting that award. And it was cool to see Scott Casey up there with y'all, too.
Hey, man, I had no speech or, I didn't prepare anything for that, but I like talking to people, from the heart. Yeah. And being able to tell those stories. For my brother to be able to, be there for me to thank him personally, knowing that I wouldn't be nowhere near the wrestling business if it wasn't for my brother. Yeah. This is not my dream I'm living. This is my brother's dream. To be able to do that, to be able to, thank the Alley for, actually acknowledging us as a tag team. That's huge, man, because you see, right now the talk is, Terrell Owens not going, to the Hall of Fame and accepting, his honor. He's going to skip it.
How do you feel about that, man?
That's what. Well, I think it's pretty. Those are moments you don't ever get back, and that's something that he's going to regret. One day, and he's going to regret it. Solely on his own. You know what I mean? Because none of those guys are going to be around him at all, you know what I mean? And so I just think, him not getting in on the first ballot, if that's what ticked him off, he's a very, very small-minded person. I teach my kids all the time, you're not going to win all the time. You're not going to come in first place all the time. And that's a lesson that we all need to know, and we all need to experience loss and losing. Because if you don't know how to lose, you definitely don't know how to win, Grace.
Yeah.
Well said.
All right.
And the thing is, he proved that as well.
That's true. Book, hey man, I'm so grateful that you give us some of your time today, man. I'm honored to call you a friend, Book, and you're a great man, you're a great father, and a great husband, and I admire the hell out of you, Book. I appreciate you coming on the show today, man.
Hey, man, I love you, bro. You know what I mean? Anytime, man, you need me, I'll always be there, bro. And same here, man.
Hey, please,
it's only a few. It's only go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, when you gonna have me on your show? I want to come on, please.
Hey, I'm gonna get you on in a couple of weeks, man. Definitely. I want to let this one play out, and then boom, I'm bring you on probably next week. And boom, get it done. And hey, man, same here, man. It's an honor to call you a friend, man. I don't have a whole lot of people in my life that I call my friend, and I honestly, I definitely could say you one of them, man.
Thank you, Booker. That means the world to me, man. Hey, real quick, any social media or anything you want to pass on?
Reality of Wrestling. Just go to realityofwrestling.com, man. That's where everything's at. Booker T 5X on Twitter, of course, and Instagram. But Reality of Wrestling, man, that's my baby, man. That's what I'm pushing to the next level. Download that Fight TV app. Check it out streaming. every Sunday. Check your local listings, but check out Reality of Wrestling, man, and let us know if you like it. Let us know if you don't like it. Let us know if we need to change something. Let us know if you are a young guy out there that's looking to be a part of that next movement. And go to realityofwrestling.com and give us a call.
Thank you, Book. Ladies and gentlemen, the 5-time world champ, Hall of Famer, and future mayor of Houston, Texas, Booker T. Thank you, Book.
Yeah.
Love you, my friend.
Thank you, man.
Have an awesome day.
You got it, bro.
All right.
There we go.
Well, I just don't, real quick, might as well let's just finish it on that note, because we can't really we can't make it any better than that.
It's a great show.
Well, I want to thank everyone who's purchased stuff from Mac Welding using the promo code X-Pac to get 20% off. Continue to do that. If you want your free 8x10, take a picture of what you purchased, send it to me, and we'll get that out to you. Upcoming dates, Sean will be at Fortune Bay Casino on July 29th in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yes. It's kind of an NWO reunion. Kevin Nash will be there. Scott Hall will be there. Eazy-E, Eric Bischoff will be there. But you'll be tagging with Eric Cannon.
Yeah.
So check out Heavy on Wrestling for more information about that. And follow me on Twitter at Jimbo in the Booth.
All right.
Awesome. You guys can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at _Denise Salcedo, YouTube /Denise Salcedo. There's lots of interesting stuff, including my interview with Josh Barnett, SoCal Uncensored, David Arquette, and so many more. So make sure to check that out.
Here we go. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. You can watch it every single week worldwide on Fight TV. And August 24th, blackcraftwrestling.com, a live pay-per-view. Very honored to be doing lead commentary for it. Can't wait.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it for this week. And I'm not sure who we're going to have on next week, but it's going to be a huge guest. And so we'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in here on X-Pac 12360 on AfterBuzz TV, Westwood One, and the Jericho Network.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark B. Donica, Jimbo Frank, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter at TheRealXpac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.